the social media coordinator and a senior moderator on the AYS server. Today we're back here again with another AYS tutorial on how to set up and manage a server. Today we're going to be hearing from our Chief Human Resource Officer, Ray. He's going to be talking about a key part of setting up a successful server, which is managing your staff team. He's also going to be discussing some other things that he does around the AYS network. I hope you enjoy, and please remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, check out our description below where you will find our 3 Discord servers, our subreddit, as well as our Patreon, where you can subscribe to premium services and other amazing things.
Hello everyone! As BFF said, I am Ray, the current Chief Human Resource Officer here at AYS, and my job is to enforce the staff policies as well as oversee and manage the Human Resources Department. And today, I will be talking about how to properly manage your staff team, and in addition to that, how to have a good management of your staff team, because there is a difference. For this reason, I will be breaking it down into 4 sections. First section, how to manage a staff team. Second section, how to discipline a staff team. Third section, how to know how big your staff team should be and how to find suitable staff members. At last, how to write some rules for your staff team. So, let's begin. How to manage your staff team. Point number 1, have a hierarchy. What does this mean? Well, let's say your server doesn't really have a staff team hierarchy. Then, in which case, everybody will have the same role. And maybe that role has a specific permission that, if it falls in the wrong hands, it can truly destroy servers, communities, and all of that. So it will be really good for you to have a hierarchy, for example. Here we show a really common and easy hierarchy, which is the owner of the server, the administrators, moderators, and some other positions, which is generally partnerships, events manager, etc. An example of this will be AYS hierarchy. In AYS, you have management, operation management, and then you have team leaders, and then you have the rest of the staff team. That way, we can have people that manage, and then we have the people that do this task, which is great at the moment of keeping things running. Point number 2, a set amount of rules for your staff team. What does this mean? That you want to be clear and have some clear rules, and you want to have them there for your staff team to know what to do or what not to do. Otherwise, they might end up, going around doing something that you don't really want or your server doesn't really allow, in which case they would say, I didn't know, and they would be right because you didn't state it anywhere or you didn't mention it to them. The best case scenario will be for you to have it written somewhere for them to know. Point number 3, a set of clear tasks for them to do. What does it mean? Let's say you have your moderator team and they don't really do much. That may be because they don't really know what their tasks are. A good thing to do will be to give these moderators a clear set of things they need to do. Of course, you need to write them down and for them to read them. For example, there is this one guy that he things that deleting message of people that were saying apples is right, but you didn't state it that was wrong or that violates the rules. So how is he supposed to know that? Yes, you are supposed to delete it. No, you are not supposed to delete it. That's kind of an example. And point number 4 is kind of optional. I will highly recommend it because this point encourage your staff to do better, encourage them to actually do their task, which is having rewards for your staff team. It can really be anything. It doesn't have to be nitro or it can really be anything. You can be creative about it, honestly. Creativity is the limit. But this is a really important point because this is how you have your staff team engage. They actually want to do things. They want to get those rewards or they want to have the staff member of the month, for example. This is something that may help you in the long run and may even help your that server if you have one. Okay, so to the next section. How to discipline your staff team. Ha! I bet some of you wonder about that. Um, it's quite simple actually, but let me break it down. Placing a set amount of punishment for violations of the staff rules or policies. So that's why simple. You simply go and say, okay, so my staff team can do this, that, and that. And you should never do this, and that. Quite simple. You will have to have those in there because otherwise your staff won't know what not to do. And in addition to that, you will have to set punishments for those set rules. For example, let's say your staff member violated rule number 7 for the third time in a row. Okay, so you either fire them, let them know that they are breaking a rule, or you ban them depending on the role. For example, they may be writing servers, in which case they should be banned. No arguments there. So, next point. Oh, yeah. Set specific punishments when your staff team does not fulfill their task. Remember when we talked about how your staff team should have their task stated? Okay, so same thing right there. If they do not fulfill their task, as per se, they didn't do 5 partnerships that week. Okay, so they get a punishment, whichever punishment you may desire. Uh, a very important point is number 3, yeah. Very, 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 very important point is to be flexible and be mindful about your rules and punishments. What does that mean? You may have a situation with a staff member that they went to the hospital and they were absent for 3 weeks in a row. It isn't really reasonable for you to yell at them or fight them or whatever, as it is a situation that they couldn't control, you couldn't control, nobody could control, and it's really unfair to them to be punished when they couldn't really do much about it. So be mindful of your rules and your punishments. It is a learning curve that you need to learn because it may really help you in the long run to keep staff members and to do better. So, for point number 4, a great way for you to actually tell your staff what to do instead of what not to do, like with punishments, you tell them what not to do. You can also reward them for what to do, you know? Maybe they did, I don't know, 20 partnerships that week. Okay, great. Reward them for that. That's good behavior, and it is something that they know you did great. Keep it up, you know? That's pretty much it. No, there's not much depth into that, like negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, which is quite simple. Next section. Woo! The staff size and finding staff members. Many people wonder, um, how big should be my staff team be? Well, that's quite simple. Don't let it be as big as your server, because then there is an issue. You know, having a server that's mostly staff members, I unless it is a private server, you know, with your friends and whatever, it isn't really an ideal environment because it is just everybody has the power. Everybody can do whatever they want. Not entirely, because if you have your rules set, they don't can do whatever they want. But it is kind of nobody has the control, but at the same time, everyone has the control. Mm, point number 2 about the staff size. There isn't really an actual ratio. Here I wrote like there is a set ratio, but it isn't really like yes, this you must follow this or else, you know. No. It really depends on how your community is, what kind of community you have, how you manage your server, etc. etc. Because, for example, AYS has across its whole network around 60,000 members, and the entirety of the staff team is around 120 members, which includes management, operation management, teams leaders, and so on. So it really depends how well you can manage your server, how well your team manage your server, etc. Point number 2, how to find staff members. There is people that say, oh, but I can never find that one staff member for my server or whatever, you know. That's not entirely true. It is actually way easier to find members than you think. And it can be from looking inside your own server to looking at other servers like AYS, which, by the way, there is there are some very useful channels in there which allow you to find members and to let people know that you want to be staff in a server, which is useful for some people. And you even have the option to look at other advertising servers besides AWS, you know. Um, but there is where point number 2 comes in. Don't just go hiring anybody. Why? Because there might be somebody with a really bad background, and you are just opening the door to them for them to just wash your server away, you know. Which wouldn't be ideal for you, your staff team, your community, and so on. Which is why you need to be mindful of who you hire. There is a difference between hiring anybody and hiring quality staff members. Obviously, you can always give everybody a trial period, like how you in moderation you have the 3 categories of helper, um, trial mod, and then you have the moderator and anything in between. which actually allows you to know, okay, you get this task, but you don't have the permissions. Let's see how you do without the permissions, and then we can see if you can get permissions during your trial period as a helper. Very important. Number two, from the same point, do background checks. You may not find everything about them, but you may find some really good things. Maybe by looking at common servers or common friends. That way you can see, oh, this guy actually is really rude on this server, or they are actually really corrupt on the server, and you wouldn't want that on your server, so you just moving on from them. That is not an ideal member. An ideal member, however, will be somebody who is actually respectful and can follow orders. Like if you say, okay, please stop arguing, the guy just stop arguing. No more like, but he was saying that cows can fly, and I don't think cows can fly, so whatever, a silly example. Last section. Ooh, this one is something that many people ask about, is how to write staff rules. And it's actually real simple. You just go ahead and set in a table. I don't want these things in my server, and I do want these things in my server. And based on those things, those ideologies you have about your server, your community, how you want to build them, you make those rules like, okay, nobody will swear in this server because it's a Christian server. But that's kind of the principle of making rules. But something very important about those making rules is being specific and not being anything at random at all, without any meaning or purpose. Like, okay, nobody can sneeze in voice calls. Like, that's just unnecessarily random. It doesn't serve much purpose because people can mute themselves. So that's not something you want to have in your rules. But it would really be a good thing for you to be random. Not random. Sorry. Point number 2. Be specific about your rules. Why? Because if you're not specific, your staff team may say, oh, but the loophole around this is that I can say Minecraft without mine. So it isn't really, you need to be specific, like, okay, nobody in the server can say Minecraft, the entire words, like nothing in between. Be specific so they know what exactly not to do. In addition to that, also give a reason for the rule to be there. Because, maybe your staff team wonders and fights and argues about it because they actually don't know the purpose for the rule. For example, in AYS we have this 1 month rule for you to be a staff member, and many people actually argue about it. But the reason for the rule to be there is simply we want to know that the member that's applying to staff, they're actually engaged with the community, that they are there. They won't just go away. They won't cause trouble. That's quite simple. You simply be specific and have a reason for it. That way your staff team won't argue about it, and they will be very likely more understanding about the rules than anybody else. Point number 3. Remember that you will always have to change, modify, remove, add rules. So, just like before, be flexible and open-minded. You may have to change a rule because most of your staff team likes to play a game, and maybe in your rules you said no, nobody can play this type of games for whatever reason. But maybe this big game is actually really good and many people like it. In which case, try to be mindful, flexible, and open-minded about it. Okay, how can we fix it? Can we maybe change the rule, remove it, say that only 3 people at a time can play it? For whatever reason. That's how you actually write your rules. Like, you be not random, be specific, have a reason for it. Not just, oh yeah, the rule is there just because I felt like it. That won't help anybody, not even yourself. It actually will cause you more trouble in the long run. And be flexible about them. They will change, they will be removed, more things will be added. So be prepared for it and be ready for it. And with that, we close this section. So, as always, stay persevering and keep going. See ya everyone.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did. I'll be glad to see you back next time when we come out with another AYS tutorial very soon. There's going to be some fun events happening on our server. Make sure to check it out in the description below, as well as AYG and AYB, or advertise your games and advertise your bots. Everything will be in the description, as well as our Patreon, where once again you can subscribe to our premium services. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.